ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This is Pastor Rosemary's Final Prophecy Watch. We're going to talk about CERN and the fact that flat earthers and those who believe that the earth, the planets, and the suns are simply spheres, that these people are going to be proven wrong, although what they're actually going to be is merged, because it's like it's like the old story about you have an elephant and 5 blind men are trying to see what the elephant is like, and one thinks it's a trunk of a tree, and one thinks it's a snake, and the other one thinks it's something else. They all have a different experience. One's feeling the trunk, one's feeling the legs. You see what I mean? So this is what's going on with some people who believe the earth is flat, or at least like a lens of glasses. Some people, convex or concave. Some people think it's, a globe. But it's actually both. The earth and the sun and all the stars, all the planets, the planetoids, all these things are actually hyperspheres. Now with CERN creating all kinds of mischief and printing out the DNA of every kind of Nephilim you can imagine, we're going to see the proof of some of these ideas. And we're going to have a breaching of dimensions greater than what we had in 2015. We've already had the breaching of dimensions in 2015. In 2016 it's going to be even more profound. You're going to feel it in a more visceral manner. You're going to feel it right down to the core of your very soul. Because what they're trying to do is capture souls. They're letting out some of the entrapped entities from Saturn, of course, but Saturn is not the only place where entities are trapped. They're also trapped on Venus and the moon. They're trapped in any sphere that you have. The hyperspheres are going to be increased in their dimensionality as well. The stars are all converters, as is expressed in the work of Mr. Eric Dollard. The sun's a converter, as he mentioned. So we want to also express that this is why you have the theories about the Son of God converting you, and he converts you to a higher dimensionality. The Son, Jesus Christ, converts you to a brighter light that does nothing but cast light, which is the opposite of the opposite side of the coin, where you have a more magnetic form of light that shines but casts no light. And that's indeed Lucifer and phosphorus, and that's the bringer of the dawn, the bringer of the morning. All these things are very ancient. It's the same suggestion over and over and over again. People have become quite complacent because they feel that nothing is new, that indeed there is nothing new under the sun. But there are new things coming from the center of the hypersphere of the sun. There are new beings. Some people think that all of these creatures are approaching the sun, but actually many of them are emanating out from the sun. Anything that's drawn to the sun is like a moth to a flame. creatures of darkness being attracted to that which gives. The creatures that emanate from the sun, the beings that emanate from the sun, are the solar angels, the solar angels that cannot have their fire quenched. So these are all extremely complex. They're complex theories, and everything is a theory. I mean, scientists and the religious theologians make up reality. And they have done this by having opposing views. Science opposing religion creates reality. If you merge them together completely, like in the system of Kabbalah, what you end up with is a singularity where one has the experience of, you may feel you don't know who you are, but in reality you become so telepathic that you are the same as everybody else at all times, experiencing all the times of the past and the present and the future in all the possibilities in the moment. And when you do that, you've reached eternity. And that's the point of perfect stillness at the center of your own universe. Because indeed, think about it. Yaldabaoth, who is birthed from the dimensionality of the mind producing a thought, and when the thought leaves the mind, this is the first sin of the thought leaving the mind, and then it descends through the 7 archons, and you end up with the Yaldabaoth, the blind god. Okay? Who's the blind god? Who's the Yaldabaoth? You are. Why? Because you cannot see your own face. You cannot see your own face unless you look in a mirror, take a picture, watch a video, and then you become mesmerized by your own face. But you become mesmerized by other people's faces as well, because they're all you. Everything is you, and that is the dance. That is the dance of reality. Dancing the serpent of time is the reality. And at that point, time stops. Now, people keep asking, when is the world going to end? Nobody said the world was going to end. It said the end of days. Days are going to end. That's the days that you're in, the trance that you're in. And reality will become more substantial. Reality will become more clear to you. Now, why is it important for the Illuminati to allow there to be at least 10 billion people on the earth? Why? Now, the reason is because 10 is a perfect number, and then we go beyond it. But 10 billion people will allow the need for sacrifice of the innocent, which is in every it's in all the Abrahamic religions. The need for the sacrifice of the innocent in order that others might live. So this is a common theme that goes throughout all of history. So, if you understand that that's necessary, because the will to bestow had to reject completely with a perfect hatred the will to receive, and that's the birth of the universe, that perfect hatred that the Creator had for his creature, the Adam Kadmon, the universe, perfect hatred, perfect expulsion from paradise. So at that moment, one needs to understand that there has to be a punishment for the fact that the creature is the complete opposite of the creator. Therefore, if there's 10 billion people, everybody only has to suffer a little bit, and they each can suffer in something that they can handle and maybe don't mind handling, like a job you enjoy, that kind of a thing. So each person can have a much less necessity to suffer. Each person can share. That's the very message of a communion, where each person shares, and they all share. And at the end, the priest will consume the rest of the wine and the wafers and all of that in order to purify it and to finalize it. But the more people that participate in anything, the more diluted the pain becomes and the more pleasurable it becomes. Why? Because they're doing it together, and that's the Tikkun Olam. They're returning, where each person is returning to the universal soul, the universal organism, which is all one. And at that time, nobody has to suffer in any way, shape, or form that they don't want, because it will be small enough and refined enough that it becomes a pleasure. For example, if a person, this is why people do things like eat Tabasco sauce, for example. It increases endorphins, that kind of thing. They get addicted to it because of that. So this lessens, this is what we're trying to talk about. This lessens the amount of difficulty and unhealthiness that's involved in these necessary disciplines from Creator. So nobody has to do anything that they do not want to do. So if you don't want to do something, you just say, no thank you. You don't have to get all upset. You don't have to get angry. You don't have to fight. You just have to say no thank you. That's all you have to say. And that way you're letting the universal organism know what you want and what you don't want, and then somebody else who does want something, they can do that because that's what they can do. Maybe one person is good at having to be very disciplined and become very precision oriented at their job, and so they have to put in the painstaking agony of studying and studying and studying, and somebody else puts in the agony of taking the time to build a brick wall. All of these kind of things. Again, it's like a job that's hard but very good and good for you, and that you enjoy. And remember, one needs only to strive to be well and to be healthy. Don't do what makes you feel good. Don't do what makes you feel bad. Do what makes you feel well and healthy. Because that's the job of Creator is to punish the creature, but that's not the intent. The intent is to give delight. So what you have to do again is just don't do anything you don't want to do. Just say, not my favorite, thank you, no. And that's it. And then eventually Creator will find exactly how to make everything as perfect as it should have been. And now again with CERN, breaching dimensions and being able to manifest in reality things that people thought were impossible, people will be able to get well. And maybe that's scary for some people, because it's a lot of responsibility to be well. Now the question of disclosure is the reason it's been difficult for established institutions like religious institutions, organizations, and also governmental organizations and politicians to give disclosure is because in reality the human and the earth is the center of experience. Now we need to evolve. And in order for our reality to be expanded and to become more delightful, there is a necessity to expand outwards. For example, to then create the moon and then the sun and this kind of thing, and then you create from the center out. And that's why aliens would have to be space aliens, interdimensional beings, and extraterrestrial beings, subterrestrial beings. They would have to, well, subterrestrial beings would be more established, but the extraterrestrial beings and the interdimensional beings would be something one would have to create with time, because it's just like our reality was created molecule by molecule, with the two sides of science and religion opposing each other. That still has to have some opposition in order for there to be a continuation of creating beings that are outside of our experience. And they've been created, but we haven't yet had the eyes to see them. Now, those of you who've had the eyes to see them have seen them. Those who do not have the eyes to see them have not. And you're only going to be aware of whatever sensory organ you have to be aware of, which is why all this technology is being given to us, so we can begin to see more. And as we see and imagine and utilize the tools that we have, like we utilize Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Google and all of these things, Google Plus, all of these things, Instagram, as we utilize these new tools that we have, more will be given. But these are eyes being given to us with which to see more and more of reality. And in that way, we are creating it as we imagine we create. And then we're given the tools to create it with. And there has to be an opposition, a disagreement. But it doesn't have to get to where people have to be, cruel to each other. People can disagree and have friendly debates. And a better world will be created if people are more magnanimous. Okay, thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Pastor Rosemary, and this is Pastor Rosemary's Final Prophecy Watch. See you next time.